Winds within the storm are up to 75 miles an hour. So it's just barely into that Category 1 hurricane strength. Now it is moving off towards the west-northwest at about 13 miles an hour. So a little bit of direction change since our last update. Now here's the good news. The National Weather Service is saying, the National Hurricane Center rather, is saying that we are not expecting any additional strengthening from this storm system over the next several days. So good news that it's expected to stay as a weak Category 1 storm as it moves inland. Here's what we look like for the first coast. It is expected to head off towards our west and northwest. However, we are still going to see some pretty significant impacts for our area as we move throughout the next about 48 hours. So I'll look at our current alerts. Now, if you remember, the hurricane warning has been dropped for our southern counties. So just about all of us are under that tropical storm warning, with the counties you see there in yellow. That's where we have that tropical storm watch. Storm surge warning for the areas in pink, and that does move pretty significantly inland. All right, this is a look at radar. Here is what Nicole is doing at the moment. We do have that defined eye. Now you can see it develop over the last couple of hours. Notice how we kind of had a little bit of an open space, and then it really starts to tighten up. You can see that eye wall develop. Now again, it's going to continue to head off towards the west-northwest throughout the night tonight and into tomorrow as well. That eye wall continuing to develop. We are starting to see a little bit of lightning come through a few of these pockets of rainfall, so that tells us there is some at least some good energy for a few pockets within this storm system that's bringing us some heavy rainfall, and that thunder and lightning does show us there's some more energy in there. Now here's where some of those outer rain bands are starting to spill into portions of the first coast. So Flagler County, St. Johns County, Palatka as well. You are starting to see some of this rain coming through Putnam County there. So be aware that yes, the rain has begun, and it is not going to end for at least the next about 36 hours for many of us. Duval County starting to see a little bit of that rain, but there is quite a bit more on the way. When we put a track on where the system is heading, places like Flagler County, you're going to start to see some of the more heavy rainfall coming through right around 2 a.m. Ponte Vedra, that'll be closer to about 5 a.m. A closer look at the first coast. Right now, what we're dealing with is just a few of those outer bands just starting to come through. So places like St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, you're getting one or two areas of moderate rainfall, but the rest is just these lighter showers starting to come through. Now, even though the rain isn't super heavy right now, it is still very windy. That wind is blowing the rain, which is going to make it even more difficult to see as you have to get outside for tonight. So if you don't have to be out on the roadways tonight or tomorrow, that's going to be your best plan of action to keep yourself safe. So here's what those winds are doing. I was telling you it's pretty gusty out there. Well, these are our sustained winds. Winds sitting between about 25 to 35 miles an hour. Gustier out there towards the coast. When we put wind gusts on there, even gustier. Wind gusts ranging between about 35 to 45 miles an hour. And this is just the beginning. We are expecting those winds to pick up a little bit more. So let's walk through that forecast. The purple color that you see here, that's where winds are at least 40 miles an hour or greater. Now this is a huge area. This is something that's making this storm system so much different from Ian. The wind field with Nicole is way bigger, hundreds of miles bigger than what we saw with Ian. So that's kind of going to tell you a little bit of the difference between those two storm systems. It might kind of feel right now like they're very similar. Might kind of go outside, seems pretty similar with the sky set up, but the wind field is a much different story. This is almost a 500 mile radius there that you see there, or excuse me, diameter there of just these 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts or greater. So very gusty winds, very large wind field with Nicole. Those winds are going to move into the first coast as we get throughout the rest of the night tonight and into the day on Thursday. Gusty winds stick around all day Thursday and will finally start to diminish at least a little bit getting into the day on Friday. All right, county by county, let's go through the first coast. Duval, here's what we're expecting. Thursday, water level rise between about 3 and 5 feet. This is expected to be higher than Ian, however lower than Irma. So we're saying about 18 inches right now. So between the eyes, higher than Ian, lower than Irma. Wind gusts with this one for Duval County expected to be at about 55 miles an hour, if not greater than that. St. Johns and Flagler County, this is where we're going to see the gustiest winds. Since you are closest to the eye of the storm, you're going to get those strongest winds. So winds at least at 65 miles an hour, if not breezier. Again, early tomorrow morning, that's when the gustiest winds are expected to be. This will be very similar to what you felt with Ian. And then Thursday, those water levels are expected to rise similarly there, 3 to 5 feet. Impacts for Clay and Putnam County, near Ian level, water level rise, rain. We're expecting about 5 to 10 inches of accumulation over about the next 36 hours. And then late Thursday, we're going to be watching the Black Creek. That's when that water will finally start to accumulate a little bit more. And we're going to start to see those winds that push water inland. We're going to have to start really monitoring our rivers and inlets. All right, let's get over to Camden and Nassau County. So Thursday, Friday, same number there, 3 to 5 feet of water level rise. This is expected to be about a foot higher than Ian, so similar but a little bit more. And then wind gusts. These areas won't see winds quite as gusty as areas south, since you are a little bit further away from the eye of the storm. Wind gusts up to about 50 miles an hour. Gustiest time period will be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. getting into Thursday there. Columbia, Baker, Bradford, Union. Rainfall between about 2 and 5 inches, wind gusts 45 miles an hour, and then that tornado threat. That is something we are really going to be monitoring for those areas getting into Thursday and Friday. Now, if you're noticing a pattern here, areas mainly to the north, Nassau and north, your winds are going to be less. However, your tornado threat could potentially be a little bit greater. Areas around Duval, around the Duval area, that's what we're going to be watching for winds to be. That's kind of our moderate risk there. That's where those winds will be closer to about 55 miles an hour. And then as you head further south, that's where the winds are going to be a little bit greater. So here we go on Futurecast. We're going to walk through it here for the rest of your Wednesday into the day on Thursday. So this is midnight. There's your timestamp there in the corner if you want to follow along. Pockets of moderate rainfall early on Thursday, very gusty winds associated with that. This will be the story as we move throughout Thursday. Notice we're seeing widespread showers, pockets of moderate to heavy rainfall associated with it. Heavier rainfall comes through as we get into the day on Thursday. So this is right around 6 a.m. I know many of us will probably be working from home, maybe have the day off if that is something you were able to get. So be aware that if you are at home, this could be causing some of those power outages because of the gusty winds and that heavy rainfall. So a few of those pockets of heavy rain coming through as we get into the start of the day on Thursday, and this area is where we're going to start to watch the threat for some tornadic activity as we get into the day on Thursday, mainly heading into the afternoon and evening. Now, even once that initial round of moderate to heavy rainfall passes through, we're going to watch for even more rain coming through between Thursday night and into Friday morning. So we'll have that initial band come through. That's that first one that we'll be watching that will bring us moderate to heavy rainfall, and then we'll watch another round that's going to be more light to moderate rainfall coming through between Thursday and on into Friday. Rain becomes much more scattered in nature early on Friday morning. We'll see a little bit of redevelopment, a few more of those outer bands come through, and then we'll start to get a little bit more clearing getting into the day on Friday. So I know that's a lot of information to take in, so let's just narrow it down real quick. What can you do right now so that you're prepared for the storm system as it passes through the first coast? Best thing you can do right now, have a way to get your weather information. I recommend our First Coast News app. However, whatever weather app you download, make sure that you allow location and notification services. So if there's bad weather in your area, you can get a notification to let you know. Since this is going to be overnight, make sure your cell phone is loud enough to wake you up in your sleep. If there is a notification sent to you, make sure it's loud enough that you will hear it and wake up and take action to keep yourself and your family safe. And make sure you have a plan. If there is going to be tornadic activity in your area, know where you are going to go. Make sure your kids know where they're going to go. Make sure you have a plan for your pets as well. So tornado safe spot, that looks like a basement, a windowless interior room. That could be a closet or a bathroom. If you can, get the bike helmets out already, put them in your tornado safe spot so that you are ready when the storm system comes through your area. Okay, this is one more look at radar, what we're seeing right now with Hurricane Nicole. We're going to continue to keep you updated. We will be live at 11 o'clock on channel 12 and 25 here on the First Coast, and we will continue to track Hurricane Nicole for you.